This is the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with your host, Vicki Davis.
I'm so excited today to have someone I have admired for so much time. Tim Needles is an artist, educator, performer, and author of Steam Power from ISTE. He's been featured on NPR, New York Times, Columbus Museum of Art, and the Norman Rockwell Museum. Tim has won ISTE's Making It Happen Award, NYSCATE's 2025 New York State Art Teacher of the Year, NAEA's Art Educator Award, and the Rauschenberg Power of Art Award. He's a board member of NYSCATE, ISTE community leader, and NASA Solar System Ambassador. I think that's my favorite. Tim, you've been teaching, 25 years and doing all this?
Yeah. It's a little bit of an embarrassing bio, but yeah, that's what happened. It all adds up over time.
So one thing you talk about are these amazing long projects, extended. So what are some of your favorite projects?
One of the ones is we started doing an idea for students for designing a graphic. I'm on Long Island, so we were talking about the water. When you live on an island, the water is a big factor. So we were talking about keeping the water clean. And then I started collaborating with science teachers in the building, and we made the individual project into a mural project that was collaborative. And then we said, let's continue to scale this. And we brought it out into the community. It took quite a bit. The students were part of every single step where we presented to the mayor of the town. We presented to the ecology board, worked with a paint company that was making the paint for the roads. We got permission. It took a year and a half to actually create murals for the local storm drains that actually tell the community about why it's important to keep it clean, but it also beautifies the neighborhood. When you do a project that starts in the classroom and kind of bridges into the community, I think it's really powerful. Do one a year now. We started doing it at all the different schools and make sure that the students that were at those schools were part of it. But it became a legacy project. Not only does it teach and it merges different subjects together, but students come back from college now to work on them because it's that important to them. It's great because everyone kind of knows what you're doing in the classroom in a way that they would never otherwise. So those are the kind of projects that really make a difference. It's great to have the students part of everything. And if you ever have to talk to politicians and try to get approval, always bring students. That's my advice. Because it's a lot harder to say no to the teenagers who are planning and speaking.
There's some people, Tim, do people ever say, but you're an art teacher? Does anybody ever say that?
Not anymore. I used to get it, but not anymore. It's been a while because I'm a curious person, and I think curiosity is what you lead with as a teacher. I'm an art teacher, and I process things through that lens, but I'm really interested in technology and quantum physics. I just took a class in quantum physics because I know it's going to be important for AI, the future. And when I go into an English classroom, I'm like, oh, what are you guys reading about? And I'm just as curious to learn what they're doing. So I just bring that creative lens to whatever I'm doing. I think I've established enough of a reputation now.
I had a great professor in college, and he's like, listen, in the real world, these subjects aren't separate. Everything's together. You have this information and it's all related. And one of those tools I know you talk a lot about is Adobe Express, because how it was created does respect the artist. Tell us about that tool and any others that you think are this is a good, simple place for everyday teachers to get started blending art with whatever their subject is.
I kind of love Adobe Express. I've been using it since it came out. I love that the teachers are kind of put in the forefront. So Adobe invited me to put in 10 templates that teachers could just use. So that was an exciting opportunity. There's a bunch of teachers that are up there now that shared their templates. One of the things I like is that you could just remix a template as students. So you don't have to start from that blank page, which is intimidating to a lot of people. So I have one project that I put up there that anyone could use, which is using AI to actually build your imagination. So imagine a device, an invention for the future that solves some environmental problem, and then explain it, and then actually use text to image to show what that looks like. And I think that's empowering for students to have an idea and then be able to see it visualized right away. The fact that it works on any device and, you could do it on a Chromebook, you don't need a lot of computing power, is terrific. So it really is democratic. I love that.
The templates are very, very useful. It's really become one of my favorite tools for AI art, creation. And while you and I were both speaking at FETC, my students were doing their project, I call it To Dream a Dream. And they pick different categories of dreams and then express it. And I saw the most fantastic house. A student had created this house on the seashore, but what he had done is the under part of the house was like an aquarium, and then he had a whale jumping up, and it was just I've never seen anything. It was so fantastic. So when you're introducing this to students, what do you tell them so that they still respect the medium, the watercolors and the clay and the like all the things because there's so much artistry out there.
When photography was invented, they were afraid of what's going to happen to painting, but over 100 years
Oh.
later, painting's doing fine. I mean, like, I love painting. So, there's something that's nice about, unplugging and using tactile tools. And, I still draw in a sketchbook every day. When I talk to students about using like AI tools, the students that are using it better are just more descriptive. Sometimes those prompts could be over a page long. You could make them like in Google, make them a gem, or you can use these really long prompts in Adobe. So you need a little bit of persistence too. It's faster to create now. You can make 2 or 3 different versions of it and then compare. So, I always like to kind of always push that critique angle where you're looking at artwork and you're talking about it and you're having those conversations, regardless of what media you're using.
So you said you write in you do your sketchbook. What are those daily habits that you encourage?
Set aside a time you're just being creative every day. So like that's like a low bar. I use a tool called 1 second a day for filming. So since like 2017, I've filmed at least 1 second each day, and it has like a visual journal of your year. And it's like it helps you actually understand yourself a little bit better and conceptualize time. I like to literally spend at least 10 minutes a day being creative. It doesn't need to be in one specific thing. Sometimes it's drawing, sometimes you're taking pictures. I think you could play with the medium, but art is good for the soul. I think that's the important thing. So you don't have to be good at it. Put that aside. Don't worry. Don't bring any judgment to what you're doing. I think that's important. One of the biggest things as an artist is really just putting yourself out there and kind of blocking away any of that judgment that comes from whether it's from you or from other people. I love karaoke. It's fun. I'm not necessarily the best singer in the world, but it's fun to do. Regardless of what kind of art you do, it's really helpful. And it also helps build identity too. I think especially now in the world of AI, you're seeing AI take over some of the administrative tasks we're doing and things like that, which should give us more time to spend doing things that we love, like the arts.
Well, I do the morning pages since I'm a writer, right? My goal is 3 pages a day. I don't always make it because now I do it on my Remarkable tablet, which is so wonderful because I can handwrite all this. And if I love it, want to do something with it, I hit the 3 dots, I turn it into text. It syncs with my computer. That habit of creativity is just one of those things that really adds the spice to life. We're creative creatures. What are the kind of habits you teach your students in class? Do they have art journals?
Having a journal is just a really helpful thing. It might be just for yourself. It might not be something that is going to end up in the art, but I always believe in having a journal. And I also believe in having freedom with that journal. So you want to collage in there, go for it. You want to write? Absolutely. You want to draw and write? Fantastic. You want to tape in pictures, whatever you want to do. I think it's an idea that came out a couple of years ago about Recta's journal, where you specifically kind of will actually, drip coffee on it and then find a way to make it creative. So I think one of the things you really need to do is push your own creativity. I think creativity is a skill you could build. So you need to challenge yourself. So like it can't always be easy. You have to sometimes put yourself in a box so you can find a creative way out of it. I give students creative exercises every week where like it's really specifically just to build your creativity. One of my favorites is to create a self-portrait without using any art materials whatsoever. So find things around the room, sort of draw with objects or nature or something like that.
What are the things that the teachers come back to you and say, Tim, thank you for that?
Ironically, it's a lot of like the creative exercises for teachers. So like, one of the things they really promote is that you don't want to burn out and you really want to make sure you take care of yourself and you take time to be creative. I think teachers are often really giving and they don't always give themselves that time. When I was younger, I was sort of looking at all the people at the age of retirement, and you can see some people like were just burned out. I'm like, I never want to be that. And one of the ways to do it is really just make sure you're following your passion, you're being creative, you're being curious, and you're kind of collaborating with students. And I think that's always the most powerful message because it's exciting and it keeps the classroom interesting because, we're all going to have difficult moments, but if you collaborate and you work together, it makes it so much easier.
And teaching should be fun. It's such a hard job. Why would we not do it if it wasn't fun?
Absolutely. Yeah. Fun is underrated. Like it's so important.
These little moments that you just like, where did that come from?
They're always the most fun things. I remember like one time I had a student, he actually broke into my classroom to do extra work. I came in one morning and I saw him there working, and like he had broken in because he wanted to finish his project. I don't mind a student breaking in to actually do more work. And it was a couple of years ago. Now he's working for Industrial Light and Magic, George Lucas's company. So
Wow.
it shows that passion really pays off. I couldn't really fault him for coming in and working extra hours. So, it's a testament to being able to make sure you connect kids to the arts. Because for some kids, it becomes a career and a passion that they live on with.
Love that story. So, where's the best ways to connect? I know you share a lot on social media. Where do you share the most these days?
Instagram, LinkedIn. I do a video each week on YouTube about a different technology.
Awesome. Tim Needles, you can see why he's so awesome. Great speaker, travels, talks, creates art, has fun with students. And yeah, that's a pretty big deal to have a student who's working for Industrial Light and Magic. That's really cool. So thanks for coming on the show, Tim.
Thank you. It's great to talk to you. You're one of my OG friends in the education sphere. I remember I did one of my first conferences with you back in Jersey.
Yeah.
More than 20 years. It could have been 20. Yeah.
None of us should play King of the Hill, and I know you and I don't. We should make a bigger hill because we need more people in the classroom talking about what they're doing, sharing the stories, and giving people hope that, hey, you can have exciting classrooms where kids want to come to school so much, they might actually get in trouble for breaking in the classroom. Thanks. Thanks for tuning in to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast. Watch the video version of this podcast and catch my new radio and TV show, Cool Cat Teacher Talk, on YouTube and a radio or TV station near you. Join my Cool Cat Teacher Classroom Matters newsletter at coolcatteacher.com/newsletter. Leave a review if you found this helpful. See you later, educator.